Hello everybody, how are you? David Franco here from TechSocial.com, as well as New York City, and a loud air conditioning unit in the background, so I apologize for that ahead of time. I have some free time with me, so I figured, why the hell not make a video, right? Well, besides my regular New York City video. So yes, for those wondering, I will have a New York City Christmas video, whatever I want to call it. So to free up this extra time slot, I'm going to do a question from ddfranco.com/ask. And this one comes from Martin, so very special thanks to Martin for sending us in. His question again has to do with graphic design. I say again because I have a previous video if you guys are interested about finding graphic design jobs. Okay, here we go. Martin says, "Hi David." Hello Martin. "I'm a beginner graphic designer and I just want to know what programs do you think are the best for making websites and or YouTube designs and why? Thanks." Thank you, Martin. To answer this question, I'm going to split it up into 3 different programs/applications that I fully recommend. Now, out of all these, I've only used one of them, and I'm sure you can guess which one that is, but I'll get to that at the very end. But number 1, this one is totally open source and free and 100% usable, and a lot of people actually worship this program. It's called GIMP. Now, I've used GIMP very lightly, but GIMP, G-I-M-P, stands for GNU Image Manipulation Program. I can never say that, manipulation. Like I said, this is free, it's open source, you are free to do what you want with it. You can create some pretty damn good looking stuff in GIMP. I have seen some excellent examples. I personally don't use it because I like a more powerful program, I like more control. But if you're just getting your foot in the door and you just want to mess around with graphic design and you want something decent to start out with, without spending a dime, literally, you will not spend a dime, or even a nickel or a penny, check out GIMP. You can find it over at gimp.org, GIMP.org. Okay, this next one I have not used at all, but I've heard great things about it, and it's actually in the Mac App Store for a discounted price of $29 as of this recording, and that is called Pixelmator. Now, Pixelmator, from what I can tell, is a beautiful app. It does many things that Photoshop does, and well, that Photoshop is famous for. This program even does content-aware fill, as you can see right there in the middle. Now, for those not aware, content-aware fill is kind of an action, a very technical action at that. It's very complex as to what it's doing. It'll actually look at the pixels around your subject and repeat those pixels to make it look like something can disappear. So for instance, say I'm outside right here and somebody else is to my right outside. If I, for whatever reason, wanted to erase that person out of my life, well, out of my photo, out of my life, that's horrible. You guys know what I mean, out of my life. I can't believe I just said that. Then I would use content aware. Now, it depends on the background on how complex and how easy it's going to be for that program to do, but at least the option's there. And my point is, before I over talk your heads like usual, just check it out, guys. Pixelmator. Again, I haven't used it, but for $29, it seems like you're getting a much better option than GIMP and something more similar to Photoshop. And now for number 3, as I'm sure you can guess what it is already. Yes, Microsoft Paint. Now, Microsoft Paint, in my opinion, you can create amazing... Guys, I'm kidding. Really? Microsoft Paint? What am I, an idiot? Actually, I take that back. Microsoft Paint can create some pretty good looking stuff. You just have to know how to use it properly. Now, I don't use Microsoft Paint. I used to when I was a kid, but it's a waste of time now, in my opinion. But I use primarily on a practically daily basis nowadays. Does that make sense? Daily nowadays? Photoshop. Yes, Photoshop, no matter what people tell you or say, I realize it's freaking expensive as hell, but Photoshop is the king of design. Photoshop will always be the king as far as I can see in the future. I mean, I never see something overcoming Photoshop in terms of what you can do. Now, yes, it is expensive, but you can get a trial for 30 days, which means you can use the entire application for 30 days. I don't believe there's any restrictions. I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure there's no restrictions. But once you do have to pay, if you are a student, you can get a substantial discount off the retail price. Now, Photoshop, if you were to get Photoshop, I have to suggest going for the Creative Suite, meaning the entire package of, Photoshop, InDesign, Dreamweaver, all that good stuff. That way you get more bang for your buck. But again, I cannot stress this enough, go for the educational discount if you can. You will save a lot of money. And in my opinion, and I know people disagree with me, but Photoshop is definitely the way to go if you're serious about design. Yes, you can create amazing stuff as well in Pixelmator and GIMP, but for me personally and millions of other people out there, literally millions, Photoshop is the way to go because there's so much support for plugins. There's millions of brushes to choose from. Guys, Photoshop has some of the most amazing brushes I've ever seen. Different shapes you can do, different actions you can download. Photoshop, in a way, is kind of like the ultimate sandbox for a designer. You will love it. You will appreciate it. It's not the easiest program to use at first. I will not be afraid to admit that. But for someone like me who has had a lot of experience in Photoshop since... I've been using Photoshop since Photoshop 7. That was years ago. I actually know my way around that program pretty well. So just don't be... what's the word? Intimidated by its complexity, because it does do things in multiple steps that shouldn't be multiple steps, but once you get the hang of things, trust me, there's no other way to go. Oregon? Who the hell is calling me from Oregon? Well, I'm not going to worry about that unless they leave the voicemail. Anyway, thank you again to Martin for submitting this question. I don't really have an Audible book recommendation for this time because I can't see my audiobooks, my library and everything like that. But just get audibletrial.com/thecreativeone and just search design, search graphic design, web design, graphic arts. I'm sure there's something free out there that you guys will love. And very special thanks again to Audible for making that possible. And now, I'm going to enjoy the rest of my New York City vacation. Thanks for watching.